Let's talk about the game that took the internet by storm this summer. I'm talking about Guys Ultimate Knockdown, and this is my attempt to make that game in under 24 hours. My name is Ferdinando, but you can call me Ferdi. A little bit of introduction about myself. I'm an Italian motion designer and VFX artist that's been living in London for the past 4 years. I have a little bit of experience in advertising and VFX, 3D and character animation, but not much with game development engine. I've been learning Unity and Unreal for the past kind of 5-6 months. I have a bit of knowledge. I've done some prototypes, some kind of like small games, but I never managed to get so much done in under 24 hours. Let's get this going. The character itself is like a big deal for the game. He's like this super funny guy, heavily inspired by the Japanese TV series Takeshi's Castle. I don't have much time, and I know it sounds like cheating, but I found a 3D model on Sketchfab from this guy called Trash Heart. I love it. It's gonna save me a little bit of time, and you know what? I make the rules for this challenge, so it's not cheating, definitely allowed. So thank you very much, I'm gonna use it. Luckily I got the character, and so I was able to polish that quite quickly for my needs. I'm gonna do the rigging in Cinema 4D, and let's see how that goes. I created a basic skeleton. I didn't want to waste much time, and after that I added a couple of different controllers that will help me with the IK rig that I was setting up. That will help me a lot because it's much faster for this kind of animation. I had to do a little bit of weighting, basically it's deciding each bone how much it needs to affect. Okay, so I think I got the rig quite in a good state to be able to move on to the next step. It's not amazing, of course. I tried to do a little bit of weighting, especially on the shoulder area, but overall I'm in 3 hours in, more or less, of actual work, so I think we can actually move on to the next step. With the rigging done, I was able to move on to the animation phase, where I started with the walk cycle and the jump cycle. It was quite easy as I had everything and all the controllers I needed for this. These skins are quite a big deal of the game, so we need to implement some sort of that system. I'm gonna create some texture in Photoshop, import them into Unity, and try to connect them together so you can kind of select a combination of colors and patterns. So I jumped into Photoshop and used the UV map as a base to be able to paint different colors on the actual texture that we use in Unity, and I plugged that into the URP shader node. That was great because it saved me a lot of time and it helped me creating this already customizable character, and it was quite easy to change the color, and I could do that at runtime on code. With the basic setup done for the shader, I jumped back into Photoshop and tried to create some interesting patterns. The game has tons of them, so I wanted to introduce a couple different that you could pick up in the main menu. I also decided to try my custom 3D skin, and I ended up loving that one. I went back into Unity, plugged everything into a PBR shader, so I did a little bit of coding to try spawn different characters with different textures, and having some errors. After that, I was able to have different characters. I have a design background, so I really wanted to get the main menu looking as nice as possible. So I went back into Cinema, model a couple different assets, and import them back into Unity. I started experimenting with a little bit of normal map rather than a flat shader because I wanted the object to have a little bit more depth and shadow, and a lot of the assets have this kind of concept in the game. Got some reference and went into Illustrator to try retrace some of the elements as close as possible. Luckily, it's all about shapes and lines in this game UI, so it wasn't too hard to replicate something similar. I tried to find a font that was good enough, but I guess a little bit less round, so I mean, we're gonna have to use that. In the end, I had the main menu UI all set, and I created some quick animation in Unity. So after all this work, it feels like we need a little bit of stretching before the race, and the character ended up looking a bit weird, I'll be honest. I tried to fix all of that quickly, and we ended up with a beautiful menu with animation and a character moving. I added a little bit more functionality with a bit of C# and UI buttons to be able to change colors and patterns and runtime. And with a couple of static variables, I was also able to keep those in memory for the race. I decided to tackle the Fall Mountain because it's like probably the most iconic winning level and probably the easiest one as well to recreate. There's no crazy environment, there's no like moving platform, and that's gonna be challenging enough. Okay, so I started looking a reference for the actual asset of the level, and there's quite a few things I need to build, so I'll rush that phase as much as I can. Basically I need to build the entire level, all this small asset like the ball falling from the top part and the actual crown itself. So it's gonna be a lot of like speed modeling all in like 2 seconds now. After creating a lot of the asset, I imported all of them into Unity and started placing slowly everything, trying to match the proportion of the actual level itself. All I had to do a little bit more work on the actual rotating asset. They need a rigid body and proper colliders. The last step to make everything shiny was the crown. I animated a little bit of particles in the Unity particle system and finalized everything with a custom animation going up and down like the one in the game. So now it's time for the player controller. The last bit left to do was actually implement a camera controller and a character controller. The first one was really straightforward. Cinemachine offered you a great tool to work with. I just had to change a couple of the input names and that was it. Character controller, on the other hand, it was a little bit more tricky. I didn't end up liking it so much, but it is what it is for the time being. It was a mix of rigid body and forces applied to the character itself. It does react with everything in the environment, so that's good, but at the same time, everything is not really perfect. Okay, finally the moment we've been waiting for. Let's test the game. So let's select like a cool skin. I really like the 30 skin. Ooh, fancy one. Love it. Let's play with that. Okay. Nice Cinemachine dolly shot. Not too bad. I like it. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay. The AI is kind of dancing, I guess. Maybe they don't want to win. Let's try to avoid all the spheres. Oh my god. The right side feels much harder than the left side. The camera is really responsive though. Oh, damn. Oof. Almost there. Yes. 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 Made it. Great. Love it. That was quite a challenge. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. Let me know what you like or what you didn't like. I would like to do more kind of this content in the future, so just post down below in the comment what kind of game would you like to see next in like 24-hour challenge, 48-hour challenge. I'm happy to try something else. Thank you very much guys. I hope to see you soon.